Welcome back into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. Today we're talking about Dak Prescott and all the comments he made at his cancer charity event that he does each season. Does a lot of good work with that, along with Troy Aikman too, by the way. Among the topics discussed from Dak, his belief that the Cowboys are close to being a contender and being close to the Eagles, the Schottenheimer hire, his injury status, and the run game, which I think was actually maybe the most intriguing part of all that he said, even if it didn't get the same level of headlines for understandable reasons. Before we get into that, we are getting our butts kicked in this month's sub battle against the Commanders. $6.99, which is nice, but we need more. Commanders $8.72. Let's change that. Hit that sub button. More free Cowboys videos each and every single day right here on the channel. Now, Dak had this to say about the Eagles, etc. I feel like we've competed with the Eagles and beat them for the most part when we've played them. I don't want to say check the record when the other guy's holding the trophy, though, right? So credit to them. They've earned it, and they deserve it. But yeah, I think we're very close. But just seeing them in such a dominant fashion in the Super Bowl, credit to them. It's our turn, and it's on us. Statistically speaking, Dak is right. The Cowboys with a healthy Dak Prescott are 9-4 against the Philadelphia Eagles. That includes a start, really only. They had like one drive, then Romo got to play some. In the 2017 loss, or that was not with Romo, that was a different game. But in 2017, when it was, they sat the starters basically. Since 2019, the end of 2019, I should say, the Cowboys are 4-1 with Dak Prescott. Now, they're also 2-1 with Dak and the Cowboys against the Eagles with Hurts because, unfortunately, as just a pure football fan, we have been deprived of Dak and Cowboys, Hurts and Eagles matchups because of injuries to both QBs. Now, with all of that said, I think this is a little bit delusional. I think it is delusional to think that the Cowboys as a team, as an organization, are actually close to what the Philadelphia Eagles are. Now, I didn't really expect Dak to say anything different. That's not really who he is. He, I think to a fault at times, takes the good soldier approach 9.5 times out of 10. This is, frankly, where I wish he had a little bit more of the Rodgers in him. I don't want all Rodgers where he's just like kind of being overly critical at times. I think you can see what Joe Burrow has done with the Bengals and put some pressure on the organization publicly. I do think some of that would be good. I do. It's not really who Dak is. That's what I think could make him a good coach if he wants to pursue that down the line. He does a good job towing the company line. He plays I hate that this is how it is. You almost have to play politics, not actual politics, but I think you guys know what I mean. When it comes to being the Cowboys QB, that annoys me. I don't like that where you have to deal with that. I want to believe he does some of that behind the scenes. I don't know that he really does. He tends to take a very much I will be the good soldier, good leader approach. And that works pretty well when things are going well. When this team needs overhauls and changes, maybe not quite what you want. So I want you to be honest with me because I think the answer is very clearly no. Do you believe the Cowboys are close to the Eagles? Y for yes, N for no. Go vote in the comments section of today's show. Next up, the injury updates from Dak Prescott. Not too in-depth, but still worth mentioning. Dak saying, my health is good. Doing a lot more getting there. I think I'm, 12 weeks or so out of surgery right now. Looking to amp it up here recently. Got all my confidence, and we will be fine. Again, there's nothing surprising there. That's been the expectation. I don't know why at one point, I think it was ESPN, reported like it was an 8-month recovery, which was not. I think it was more like 8 weeks until he was off of the crutches. And that timeline makes a lot more sense, although it wasn't quite even 8 weeks there. It didn't make any sense, that initial report. I think something got lost in translation there. The reporting since then has been very much, he'll be good to go for workouts, he'll be good to go for training camp. It was not a good injury to have, make no mistake about that, but recovery timeline isn't a real concern. The main thing for me is, making sure he's not overdoing it. You can go back to when Dak had that, coming off that gruesome ankle injury, he had that weird shoulder injury that they described as a baseball injury because he was just repeatedly throwing footballs around the house and into couches because he is, in many ways it's a good way, a little bit addicted to football and doesn't like not doing football-related things, and he's always at times overdoing it. Keeping Dak healthy is a big deal. You are not going to have any chance of success without a healthy Dak Prescott. And as I pointed out for a couple years now on the show, injuries are my main concern. He's on the wrong side of 30. You start to get more worried about injuries at that point. It's been different things each and every, not every year, but kind of consistently there's been red flags there. That is something that I do worry about. Because if he's not healthy, then, oh, boy, you got a lot of issues on that team. And not a lot of avenues to make things pay off in the end, outside of the insurance they have on his contract for salary cap boosts. But that's, again, it's a long-term, not a short-term thing. Today's show is made possible by Z-Biotics. They are the inventor of the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It's their pre-alcohol. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It is this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. The Z-Biotics pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Remember to drink it before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best the next day. When those game day super chats come in, I can't bounce back the way I used to be able to. At least that was before Z-Biotics. Go to zbiotics.com/chatsports or scan the QR code on screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use code chatsports at checkout. You can get a subscription using the code so you are prepared no matter the time or the occasion. They are backed by a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you are unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Head to zbiotics.com/chatsports and use code chatsports at checkout for 15% off your order. A big thank you to Z-Biotics for sponsoring this episode and our good times. Let's talk Brian Schottenheimer, at least that comments on that. He also had some praise for Kellen Moore, which I'm not terribly surprised with that, but he's not the Cowboys coach, so who cares? Dak had to stay on Shotty. Super excited for him, this opportunity. Obviously, I've worked with him the last couple of years, understand the type of man he is, the way he approaches the game. I think the best way to exemplify that is he is the son of a legendary coach. I understand the type of coach he is, the type of man he is, how he approaches the game. He's not going to take anything about this game lightly. He enjoys the work in it. I am looking forward to the grind and some of the things we're going to add. Again, nothing surprising there. That's all. At times, Dak just kind of sounds like coach speak. I don't know if you guys ever watched the one time he was on Barstool. He was boring as all can. I think it was not an entertaining interview. It's just not. That's just kind of who he is. He normally says the right things, but he also clearly likes Shotty. You know, I don't think there was any chance of Schottenheimer getting the job if the players didn't like him. I think that's kind of like a veto power to an extent for not just Dak, but a variety of key players in that organization. Now, Dak also made another comment about how he liked how Schottenheimer handled the interview process. I don't really know what he meant by that. Part of me wants to say, he's taking a shot at the way the Cowboys handled it. But I think that's more hopium for me than anything else. May have just been empty platitudes in the end, or just, having your coach speak answers in there. Now, this next question, again, I get if there's concerns there. I have concerns. Do you trust the Dak-Shotty pairing? A for yes, or B for no? All right, I know that the Eagles Super Bowl championship hype got the most headlines. I think actually the most impactful, most noteworthy details that actually matter from what Dak said were the running game notes he had. Here's what Dak said. We got to get to running the ball, being a little more consistent on that. From there, looking at the numbers, I've always enjoyed play action pass. So being able to get back to that, start with the run game, it will open up the rest of the offense. That stuff stuck out the most to me. And for a variety of reasons here that I think matters. The biggest of which is this. The Cowboys have a clear plan and goal this offseason, which I appreciate having. They want to fix their run game. And I have harped on this. You can go back to last year, go back to this past season even. I have made the point that I don't think this Cowboys run game has been very good. And at times they have won games in spite of a bad run game, or at least not good enough run game to beat the top-end competition. The better teams have dared Dallas to run the football. They've come out in shell coverage. They've come out in neutral boxes, even boxes, light boxes. And the results have been Dallas can't run the football. And as the NFL, cyclically kind of comes back to being the running game is more important. And as you see the consistent changes on defense, there's often ebb and flows, right? Go back to the old days. It was too high Tampa 2 coverages, right? Then it becomes that Seahawks Legion of Boom cover 3 feature. And then it's kind of going back to too high shell coverages right now. when you are in that front, when you are saying we got 2 safeties back deep, a great way to have success on offense is to run the ball. Dallas hasn't been able to do that. The running offense, and I think it's actually 20 games played, my bad. They've had about, now this is losses, with healthy Dak Prescott in really the Mike McCarthy era. They've averaged about 21.3 carries per game, under 86 yards per game, a touchdown less than every other game. And the average yards per carry was 4.03. The games over 4 yards per carry was just 6. The median yards per carry in those 20 games was under 3.5. It's hard to win games like that. Now, look, it's all losses, right? So it is, a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if we want to analyze what goes wrong, right? That's a very clear and bad trend. It's one I've harped on before. And the Cowboys' approach this offseason is, we're going to fix that. It is the hiring of Clayton Adams, the hiring of Connor Riley, all the things that have been said. Tight zone is dead. I hope. And hope it never comes back. R.I.P. and the P does not stand for peace. I hope that is the case. And in theory, that will also lead to better play action results, which we'll come to here in just a second. But what is your confidence level in the Cowboys fixing their ground game? Scale it for me from 1 to 10 in the comments section of today's show. You can look at the numbers, and we'll use EPA per play on these in just a second. But the Cowboys' play-action game has been bad and mediocre at best on a pretty consistent basis. And that raises red flags for me. Expected points added. It's the overall health of your offense, right? And it's a good team stat. Isn't always the best stat for players, but, outside of quarterbacks. Quarterbacks, I think there's some value there. Dak Prescott's EPA per play on play action. 0.01 the past 2 seasons. That was 27th and 20th. 2022 was 0.06. 2021 was 0.15, 0.11, 0.14. 2 things I notice here. A, it's gotten worse. B, it got worse when Mike McCarthy was heavily in charge of this offense. And overall, big picture-wise, Dak Prescott was worse on play action than he was on straight dropbacks. And that is not a very common trend. I also will make note, there was no 2020 stat on that graphic because he didn't qualify that year, so I left him off because of the injury. The play-action plays are supposed to be the easy ones. It is supposed to be a play that makes life easier on your offense and your quarterback because it's not having to do straight dropbacks, which are often in situations where the defense knows a pass is coming. It's supposed to be easier to execute and operate. We've seen lesser QBs thrive on play action. Go watch the Saints game, the Packers game. Not that Jordan Love is a lesser QB or anything, but like those games, those quarterbacks just lit the Cowboys up on play action. And when you are worse on play action than you are in regular throws, it almost always means one of 2 things. Bad play designs and or there's no fear of a run game. That there's no real threat of that run game because teams go, who cares? Oh, no, you're going to run the ball with Rico Dowdle? It's fine. Oh, no, you're getting the ball to old cooked Zeke? Who cares? I think you had both of those things over the past couple years. At times it felt like the Cowboys play action game, like the real nitty-gritty play action, not kind of some of those fake, quick, not even handing the ball off to the QB play action stuff that I don't really know why they kept doing, was waggle, where they roll out right and throw to Jake Ferguson almost every play, or Luke Schoonmaker, or play action vertical shot that's never really open. Those were like the 2 play action designs. They didn't really work very well. I think in theory you can get some more under center, some more pistol even potentially, and that'll boost your play action game because it's more effective statistically speaking. And in theory your run game is a bit more credible, viable, and it adds some more success there. Those 2 things, you get those fixed, the offense in theory can work a little bit better specifically against the better teams.